All right, let's talk about how to export both images and videos from DESI 3.0. So we'll start by just kind of going over what we're looking at on the screen initially. I've got the href dataset, and I've got wind gusts both as a shaded field and as we've got wind barbs as well. I turned the opacity down just a little bit on our shaded field, and we're also looking at the 90th percentile. And so what I'm envisioning here is perhaps we're trying to brief some fire partners about what's the kind of reasonable worst case scenario for some strong winds that could occur, in this case, Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. So I'm going to zoom in down here to southeast Wyoming. As we can see, we've got some strong winds just north of Cheyenne. And let's get my screen kind of positioned where I'd like it. And if I come up to this button up here, you'll see the camera. If I hover over it, it says download screenshot. So when I click on that, it's going to change the window just a little bit. And it's also going to add this other pop-up here, which you can drag into some other position if it's not in the right place or it's blocking something you want to be looking at. And so the aspect ratio, kind of what I mentioned earlier, is going to determine how it sizes the window where you're generating your graphic. So it starts out as a 2:1 ratio, but you can choose some other options. Here's a 6:9. The next option to talk about is show hide banner. So as you might expect, the banner at the top of the image, we can hide that or we can show it. And we can also come up here and enter a headline. So it's all editable, much like you're typing on just a regular text editor. So if I click on that box, and I can just start typing away. I can also come over here and add in some bullet points as well. So similar to the headline, if I hover over this and click in that box, I can enter in some additional points that I might want to share with partners. And if you hit enter, you can put in yet another bullet point, and so on. And you can also hit delete or backspace to remove bullet points as well. Now, one other thing to mention is if you come up to the maps drop down up here and you go to cities, if you hover over this and go to readout, that's a way that you can get the actual values to show on the image that you're creating. So let's say that I'm happy with that. We can go over here and just click take screenshot, and it's going to download that into my downloads folder. Another option that we have is that we can generate videos. So if I want to do that, I can close this, and you'll see that it changes the window size. And if I come back up here to the toolbar and hover over this video camera, and you'll see create and download video. And when I click on that, similar thing happens where I get my other window that pops up over here that I can drag, and it also resizes the window. And in this case, it's based on resolution. So to start out, we've got 720p, which is kind of your typical Twitter or Facebook post is going to be in that resolution. I can choose a higher resolution if I want, so 1080p. And something worth mentioning, if you're on a smaller monitor and you're choosing something like 1080p, now you see that the window got bigger. And if you're on a small screen, it may trim off the side of it, and you'll see a scroll bar down here at the bottom of your screen. And you don't have to panic. It's still going to render just like normal, but it might not be as easy to use since you have that scrolling down there, but you can always just go to 720 and it's going to be just as useful of a video to create. So the way the videos work is we want to think about, we're just kind of capturing some simple scenes, and there's going to be a start point and an end point. And all of this is driven by what I'm looking at on this main window here in the center of the screen. So let's go back to 1080p just to make it easier to see. And yeah, let's say that I get my video in a position that I would like, and this is where I want my video to start. So I'm going to come up here and click this button here to capture a snapshot. And you'll see that it shows in this little thumbnail image kind of what I just captured, and it shows me what time as well. Now, I can just do one snapshot and not do a second one, and my whole video is just going to stay in that one place. And it'll just be however long I want it to be based on this slider here, which is the animation length in seconds. So you can go 3 to 15 seconds. But let's do something a little more exciting. I'm going to advance time a little bit. I'm going to go forward 24 hours. So we're just going to capture a 24-hour video. And I'm also going to reposition the screen. Let's say we want to focus on what's going on up here a little bit north. So I'll move everything up that way. And then I'm going to take my second screenshot. And so if something similar happens there, we've got our other thumbnail. And then let's move down through some of these other options. So transition type, this is how the camera is going to move from my first snapshot to my second snapshot. And there's a couple different options. The first one is parametric. And so the way that's going to work is it's going to start out moving slowly and speed up toward the middle of the animation and then slow down toward the end. In linear, as you might imagine, it's just going to be a straight line. It's not going to change the speed of the movement of the camera between the two positions. And then Bezier is going to be fast at first and then slow down and then speed up toward the end. Video quality is pretty straightforward. You're going to have low, normal, or high. And you'll see that the file size estimate is also going to change based on what setting you choose there. It's also going to change based on how long you make the video. So it's just kind of giving you an idea of roughly kind of how big that video is going to be once you download it. We've already talked about animation length. Once you have 2 snapshots taken, there's also going to be an additional option here that says last frame delay. And the way that works is that once you go from the start point to the end point, you can also have it delay on that last frame for a certain number of seconds. So it can be 0 or up to 7. The show and hide banner as well as the include bullet points work just the same as the image generation that we were looking at before. And the same holds true for our headline up here in the banner. So let's say that I think I'm pretty happy with this video. Actually, you know what? Let's turn on particle flow just for fun here and give us something exciting to look at. And before I download, there's a final option here that I can preview it, and this will allow me to kind of see what my final product is going to look like. So when I click that, we'll see that it's going to transition from the start of the video and then move through into that final point where I had the video ending based on that last snapshot. And if I'm not totally happy with the way things turned out there, you can also edit the thumbnails. So there's a couple different buttons that pop up if you hover over these thumbnails. There's an X, which will delete it altogether, but there's also this blue capture button as well. So let's say that maybe I didn't want to zoom in quite as much on that part of the map. Maybe I want to do it there. Then I can reposition this, and you can also change the time as well. But keep in mind, the time needs to advance, so you might get an error if you go back in time so that it's before your starting point. But so let's say I like where that's positioned, so I'll just click this button, and now I've got a edited final kind of endpoint. And I can preview that. And again, you can change the time. So what if I just run through it real quick here? And if I'm happy with the way that looks, then I can just generate my video. And just like the image before, it's going to go in my downloads folder. You're going to watch it go through the process of actually generating the video. So I'll do that just for the example here. You'll get this modal overlay that just shows you the video capture is taking place, and then once that is done, it's going to go in your downloads folder, and you'll be able to check that out later. So thanks for tuning into this video, and we've got more that you can check out for additional information about how to use DESI.